All right. Welcome, everybody, to our TedxVail Hangout. This session is specifically on media with our speakers. And so let's start from the right and say who you are, where you're calling in from, and what is your current big idea. Make it one sentence, okay? We're starting to compress our idea. And so if you can say it in one sentence, that will make it easy for the audience to get it. So let's go ahead and start with Ushi. Ushi? There you go.
I was like, of course I have to start. My name is Ushi Patel. Hi, everyone. And I'm calling in from San Francisco, California, actually specifically Woodside, California, which is about 15 minutes south, surrounded by gorgeous forests. And my one big idea in a sentence, I'm a poet, and it's something around the adventure of getting to know yourself through creativity, the power within you, that sort of thing. But it's not at all condensed into one sentence yet.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ushi. Susan.
Hello. Yes, I'm Susan Strong, and I'm calling from Orinda, California. And my big idea comes from my work with the Metaphor Project. And the short way to describe it is to say that the title of my talk, at least the working title, is Our One Big American Family. And my a little bit longer sentence is, I believe there is a deeper American truth than the bitter disagreements our media report so much now. Uh-oh, I can't hear Kat.
That's okay. Great. I just put myself on mute and I've taken myself off.
All right.
And that's principally because I have so much ambient noise here. I want the quality of your audio to be as good as possible. So I'll be muting myself while you guys are talking. Okay, Ocean, you're up next.
My name is Ocean. I'm calling in from Boulder, Colorado, and my big idea is identifying tools for empowerment to really build a platform for this next generation to fully step into the responsibility of this planet. So that's my one sentence. It's a little jumbled, but that's the general idea.
Fantastic. Also, if you would say a little bit about what you do. So, Ocean, can you just tell everyone who's new here what it is that you're working on?
So I'm launching a national youth culture magazine. It's going to be in Whole Foods, Barnes & Noble, and 38 other retailers across the country this July. And it's a platform that brings together the collective voice of the youth around the world, whether it's through art or environment impact, ocean conservation, mountaintop removal, sex trafficking, just using young voices along with big names in mainstream media to spearhead these issues on a global platform that's dedicated towards the next generation and the level of responsibility that comes with that. So,
anybody else? And anybody else have goosebumps when you hear her declare that purpose? How old are you, Ocean?
I just turned 17.
Yeah, I love it. Go girl. Okay, fantastic.
He wasn't even officially allowed by Google to attend this hangout because for whatever reason Google has an 18 and over policy, so she had to change her age and to fool Google to be part of this. So thanks, Ocean, for being smart and changing.
I had to change my name as well because apparently Ocean isn't a legitimate name request in the Google world. So, yep. But I'm here, different name, different age.
And we just broadcasted it across Google. So
I'll just keep creating new accounts. They'll have to let me in. So.
Fantastic. We're glad you're here, Ocean.
Thanks.
Okay, Jill, you're up.
I'm Jill Squires. I'm calling in from Eagle, Colorado, in the Vail Valley. I'm a clinical psychologist, the topic of my talk. The name of the talk is going to be Why Can't We Be Friends? And I'm going to be talking about how friendship has changed over the past 25 years and how we need to redefine friendship, both to have good friends and also to keep away from toxic people.
Fantastic, Jill. We're all looking forward to your extensive research, and we'll be learning a lot about frenemies through you. So thank you. All right, David, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm David Thorson. I'm from Lake Okoboji, Iowa, and I'm a photographer and sailor, and yes, a sailor, and that's part of my story. I grew up sailing here at Lake Okoboji, which is a glacial lake, and now I've taken my sailing adventures to the polar areas of the world, and I've sailed twice now through the Northwest Passage. So my story is kind of about being the accidental explorer, going from a boy growing up in a little lake in Iowa to discovering climate change through my sailing through the Northwest Passage and meeting all these extraordinary people along the way.
That's awesome, David. Thank you. Thank you for that. I used to live in Des Moines, Iowa, so I know exactly where Okoboji is.
I saw that you went to Drake.
Yeah, it's amazing too. Yeah, for those who don't know where David's from, it's this community built around this lake, and it's just a fun place to be. So whenever you guys are in Iowa, Lake Okoboji is the place to go. So I know I can't get Basha on the call. I did text her, but she must be having some issues. But I see her come in. Basha, are you on?
Okay. Bye.
Hey, Basha.
Hi. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
That's okay. I'm glad you're back on. So we're sharing our idea in a sentence. So you are next.
Oh, gee. You and I and everybody else are deeply connected with our rivers, creeks, and streams.
Awesome. So that'll be another. Kat, you're not on. You're off.
Right. Okay, so that's great, everyone. Basha, just say a little bit about who you are for David's benefit, and then David, I'm going to have you just reintroduce yourself very briefly to Basha so we all understand where everyone's coming from. Okay, go ahead, Basha, just very briefly.
I'm an artist and have focused for many years on rivers, international water issues. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hi, everybody.
Great. David, how about you?
Hi, Basha. I'm David Thorson, and I live at Lake Okoboji, Iowa, and I'm a photographer and sailor, and I've had the honor of and privilege of sailing many times to the Arctic and sailing twice through the infamous Northwest Passage and kind of discovering climate change along the way.
Great. I have a lot I would like to talk with you about.
No doubt. That'd be great.
Siren.
A moment. Fantastic, everyone. So today the focus of our session is on media. So just raise your one finger if you already have images that you think you're going to be using in your TEDx talk, whether it's photographs, charts, video, any kind of media. Okay, so it looks like so far of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oops.
Did Kat freeze on you guys?
Yeah. Yes, she's frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen.
Yeah.
So I think we'll wait for her to come back, but it's going to be on media today. And seems like everybody is already thinking about media. Images and videos and charts are very powerful components to use in your talk, and it doesn't have to be the case, right? As you guys might be aware or might have seen TED Talks, there's some TED Talks that are just amazing, and they don't even use one slide, right? They just talk, they go out there and talk. Others use it's heavy on slides and images. So don't be persuaded one way or the other. It really depends on your talk and what kind of media you want to use to really have your audience connect with your message, right? So that's the biggest thing. So you don't have to have like 200 images, like National Geographic kind of images on your talk. Nor you can go, you can even have a talk with no media. So media is just one way to get your message across. And the whole idea is to really connect your audience to feel your message, right? To really get in touch with what you're trying to say. Um, so that's the first thing we want to talk about media. Any questions on that?
What do you think of using clip art?
Clip art, I mean, as long as it all depends on the message, right? So if you're going to have a very fun talk, right? Humor, not very serious, and clip art can be a good way of using, right? It all depends on what kind of message you want to do. But if you're going to have a very serious talk that you want to move people, I would think clip art would not do it. So it also depends on what kind of emotions you want to bring to the room.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So clip art is kind of conceptual in a way, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And so just not to put Ushi on the spot, but Ushi is a graphic designer. That's her business is around graphics, right? So she is kind of she has the brains around media and the creativity. So if you guys have any questions on your talk, I know Ushi would love to just give her thoughts on it. Ushi, what do you think on clip art?
It looks like her microscope is off.
Oh yeah, no, I'm here. I had to.
There.
I think if you have a complex concept that you need to like sort of hit home in 1 second, graphics are great. Clip art makes me die inside. So it reminds me of Microsoft Word, Microsoft the company. But I think that if you like, I'm happy to help anybody offline from this if you want to figure out some way of creating graphics and integrating them into your talk.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that like the right kind of graphics, the right kind of photos and videos can elicit a really great emotional response from the audience, and it's a nice break from the sort of your own voice. It gives you like a refresh point. So I think that they're great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when we talk about media, I think videos play a big part as well. So if you guys have videos that you can use, that would be awesome. Like David, I know with the sailing, I think a video would be amazing just to get the audience to see what you have seen, right, while sailing, or if that's going to be your talk. I think video is always a big thing. But just know that the talk is only going to be 9 minutes, right? So you don't want like a 4-minute video clip on a 9-minute talk, right? So that's one thing that we'll have to just be aware of. The other thing is that the media doesn't have to be digital, right? We're talking about digital media here with images and videos. I've seen great talks with just a flipboard, right? They have a flip chart and then they use that. So really think about it as just a way to get your audience involved. It could be a flip chart, it could be props that you bring on the screen on the stage and use. So any form of media, if it's digital or not digital, anything, yeah, think about that as well. Anybody have any other thoughts on what kind of media? Any questions on images that you'd be using, videos, anything like that?
I do. One of the things I want to do is I'm talking about a friendship house as a sort of the metaphor for my talk. And I'm not a graphic designer or an artist, but I want to come up with a graphic of a house, and then I want it to be animated where we can have pieces sort of pop out.
Yeah.
You know, like to say, oh, in around the kitchen table in my friendship house are my closest friends, and
Yeah.
have an image that goes with that, and then have it pop back in, and then go to, and in the front hall.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that as a metaphor. Is there anyone who can help me create that, because I don't know how to create that?
I can help with the basic graphics. I'm not an animator, so I
Well, I know that PowerPoint will do a little bit of animation.
Mm-hmm. So you can certainly draw any house you want or do any of those kinds of things, and then we can, I mean, you know, put it out there. I feel like we're going to find some animators. So I can absolutely help you with that.
If you could draw the house, and then we can draw the separate rooms, then PowerPoint can actually pull it out, and that's all that I need. So that would be awesome, because I've been worrying about that.
I just put my email and Skype in the group chat, so if you want to contact me and then we can work on it, totally happy to help.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other questions as we move forward? In terms of the slide software, so the slide software that we prefer is PowerPoint. That's what we prefer. What we do is usually we put all our slides, every speaker slide, on a master PowerPoint slide, and then we just use that, right, to go through it. Is anybody going to use a software other than PowerPoint? Prezi, Keynote.
I was throwing around the idea of Prezi just because it's a little more artful, and I feel like PowerPoint is kind of sterile. I mean, I know there are things that you can, hold on, sorry. I know there are things you can do within PowerPoint, but it just feels like a little bit sterile, like slide, photo, slide. But I'm happy to do PowerPoint. Most of the media that I'll be incorporating is part of my photo projects that I've conducted in India and in Kenya. So it's like they're going to be photos, so it's not like I need to put in anything super complex. So PowerPoint's fine for me. But I was throwing around the idea of Prezi. But if it's more if it's better to do just PowerPoint for everything, then I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, Prezi is a great presentation tool. It's just I think it's really it brings a wow factor on stage, I think. So if you want to go that route, let's talk. What we could do is we could download the Prezi, because you can have an offline Prezi presentation. We won't do the online one because you never know while you're on stage. The internet could go out or whatever. So we can download the offline version and have that. I mean, if that's what you want to use, if you feel that that's going to be powerful, then yeah, definitely. PowerPoint is just the one that we prefer because we can put everybody's slides on one. So yeah, we can work with that, Ocean. No worries. Anybody else using another tool apart from PowerPoint? All right. So especially with the slide software, I think the biggest thing there is there's a terminology. I think it's called segments, right? Segments. So don't make your slides into documents, right? So a lot of times all of us have been in presentations where the slides are really a Word document and they have tons of words on there, and everybody's focusing on reading every word of the slide and really not listening to you as a presenter, right? So really use those slides as just a way to get your idea across to your audience, right? What we're going to do this year, just need to get confirmation, is we're going to have a monitor in front of you, right? That you will be able to see notes as well as a slide behind you. So the one in front of you, you can put notes on there. And if you use the notes section of PowerPoint to put your notes, we can have that notes show up on your screen that you see, and then we can have the slide show up behind you. That way you can read the words, but at least the audience are focusing on you and not the words on the slides. Has anybody used the notes feature? Has everybody ever done a presentation where you have your screen that you're looking at that's different from what's being presented?
Yes, I have.
How did that go for you?
It was great, actually. You just have to be careful your notes section isn't too long, because you don't want to. I mean, I made sure it was just like a paragraph or a statement that I didn't want to forget, so I wasn't reading off of it.
Yeah. That's great, absolutely, because you don't want the audience to feel like you're reading a monitor that's in front of you, right? They want, the whole idea is for you to connect with them and for them to feel that you're talking to them. So I think that's a great point. Anybody else who has used a monitor and how they've used it? Any advice for the group?
I could say also make sure you use large fonts for what you need to see, so it doesn't look like you're reading it. It's easy to just glance at without squinting or staring.
Definitely. Definitely. Anybody else have any ideas on that? All right. So the other thing is, as I said, try to visualize your idea. Use the media as a way to visualize your idea. So I really like the concept from Jill of the house concept, right? So that's kind of like visualizing her idea and really helping the audience connect with that idea. So maybe this will be a great point to just talk about kind of what your thoughts are and how you will be able to visualize your talk using media. So anybody can go first and just can talk a little bit about what they're thinking on how they're going to use media to visualize their idea.
Well, I've actually thought about it a lot, so I'm happy to jump in first.
Sure.
Because there's going to be a couple of different pieces of my talk, and the original talk is going to be how do people define friendship. So part of what I want to do is I have this survey going on, and people are writing the most eloquent statements about how they define friendship. So I either want to just have it start out with some of those statements flashing behind me, or better yet, photos that illustrate what's in the statement. Then I want to actually go into a little bit of charts and graphs of how people are seeing friendship and have that be directly from the survey results. And then I want to talk about the friendship house and what it means as a way to figure out who your friends really are and who you need to keep out of your friendship house. So there's those 3 different sets of visuals I'm hoping to work on.
And that's great because it's a way, it's a natural process as well, right? As you go through your talk, those visuals are just complementing your ideas. So that's awesome. Anybody else?
As a visual artist, I use visuals all the time. In fact, I can't really talk without having a visual. So I'm always like I give PowerPoint presentations all the time. They never have text, and I just talk extemporaneously because the images then spur on the ideas behind it. So, but what I haven't used before is video, and I really, really would like to do that because I know that that animates the image even more. So that's something that I would like help with in doing.
Definitely. So, Basha, I'm glad you said that you're a visual expert. For those.
No, I didn't say expert. I said I'm a visual artist.
Okay, artist. I said expert. So, a visual artist. So if you guys, need help, there's even Basha. I'm sure she could help out with kind of visualizing your talk as well. Yeah, that's awesome. Basha, any other advice in terms of just visuals, how you should use them, how you have used them in relaying your idea?
Well, for me, it helps to have an image up there that I can bounce off of. And so I have the image of my artwork, and then it leads into a story automatically that I can then talk about. So
yeah, that's a great point, and I think that's one thing that the visuals are going to be there The only thing I'd be cautious is the 9-minute mark, right? So we're going to be it's going to be 9 minutes. So just make sure that for every visual you have the points that you wanna talk, and I've seen it happen in TED Talks, which sadly they go over time, and it has happened even on the TED stage where you'll see Chris Anderson or Hugo, whoever, actually walk up on stage while the presenter is not even finished, right?
Yeah.
Went off on a visual that they saw, and they had a million stories. That's always hard because I know all of us are putting a lot of time in to give your best talk, right? And I think that's the one thing, because we're so emotionally tied with our talk and want to give the best talk. That's one thing that we sometimes forget is that 9-minute time frame. So.
That's something that I'm very aware of because I've given a lot of talks in the past, and they're always either a half hour or an hour, and I can fit things within that framework with no problem. But trying to condense it down because I have so many ideas is my biggest problem with this TED Talk, trying to prepare for that and choose one thread instead of so many threads that I usually do.
Definitely.
Because water issues are so vast, and I've worked with a lot of them, so it's the big challenge for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I concur with everything that Basha just said. I took 75,000 photographs on my last project. So to try to get it condensed down, I usually speak about the same, sort of in that 30 to 40 minute range, and then leave, kind of 15 to 20 minute for question answer things. So I do the same thing with speaking through an image. An image will stimulate a story. I tell the story, move on to the next, and try to set things up that way. One thing that's really important is the image size, how you actually size the image for the frame of the PowerPoint image. It's a 3x4 format. It's not important that you have a super large file size, but you also don't want to have a too small a file size that will pixelate. So it's really important that you size your images so that they don't break up on the screen, they look sharp, but that your PowerPoint isn't hogging a whole bunch of drive space.
I'm glad you mentioned that, David, because I think that's one of the biggest issues we get. It might look really nice on your computer screen, but when we have to project that on a huge screen behind you, it all looks pixelated, right? So
yes.
That's a great point. The other thing is I will send out the dimensions of the images, because I just want to check what projector the venue is going to have, so we make sure that we're saving in the right format so it's not distorted and the images don't look right. So I'll make sure I send that back to everyone. Great point, David.
So can you also tell us how to figure out what size our images are and how to fix it if they're wrong?
David, what tool do you use for that?
Well, I use Photoshop, and I size things just because you can use a 3x4 ratio. So just to make it easy, I use a 9x12 inch image at 100% at 150 dpi, and that drops right into the PowerPoint image with zero cropping. You don't have to do a thing to it, so it just flows right into the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And at that size, I've projected images 15 by 20 feet, and there's no problems, no distortion, and that seems, my images take up about maybe 500 or 600 K. They're all under a megabyte, so there's no problem with storage space or bogging up a drive with anything like that.
Definitely. So I think Susan, if you need help with that, just let me know. We'll find someone. David can help out. Ushi. We'll get someone to help you out just to figure out what your images are and how to best size them.
Thank you, because I don't do Photoshop. I don't have it. I don't know how to use it. So thank you.
No worries. Ocean, what about you? What kind of visuals do you have that you can use for telling your story?
So the entire idea, I'm actually really grateful that it's only 9 minutes because I feel like, depending obviously on the audience and the demographic who will be watching it, I feel like people sort of start to tune out after 5 to 8 minutes. Even when you have these keynote speakers and you have 40-minute presentations, no matter how interesting and no matter how incredible the visuals are, people always tend to tune out or start checking their phones. So I'm really excited by the whole 9 minute challenge because I honestly think that that's plenty of time for my personal taste. So I'm very excited to explore it with this, with the parameters that come with this talk. But I facilitated a photo series called the Asha Project, and Asha is one of the translations of the word hope in Hindi. And so I went to India when I was 14 and I gave cameras to young girls and journals, and I had them document parts of their lives that they had never let anyone see before. And then I just repeated this project in the Mathari slums in Nairobi this January. And so the idea of the talk is showing how youth across the world are actually so alike, but we're completely submersed in this digitized society, so we really need to find the similarities, because if there's no connection, there's no humanity, and if there's no humanity, then we have no point of being here. So the idea of doing these different photo projects all across the globe is pulling out the ones that look nearly identical, but how could they be identical if these people don't speak the same language and they're living very far from each other? So, each one is going to be choreographed with only 30 seconds max talking about each photo. There were 8 girls in each project, so that's 16 times 30. That only takes up about 4 minutes describing the project, and then that leads into me wanting to create a platform for youth to have their voices heard across the globe. And that's when I introduced my magazine, my vision, and how I choose to expand that across a web platform as well as print nationally. So that's kind of how I'm choosing to incorporate photos. And I'll probably throw in a couple of graphs as well on how many hours each day young people spend on social media, how many hours young people are inside when they could be outside. I know that I live in Colorado and I spend half of my day inside, which is ridiculous because the flat irons are my backyard, but I'm always on my computer doing work, and it's just, the theme is naturally, so it's all going to come back to how can we find the humanity in one another, even if we're on a different side of the planet. So got a little off track, but that's the idea of the media. It's just a photo project.
Definitely. And I don't know if you have watched the JR's TED Talk. I would search for JR. He's an artist who took photos throughout the world and really made a difference. I would encourage everyone to find that TED Talk. I'll try to see if I can find the link. I love it. He uses a lot of visuals, but it's just a great way of telling his story. So
what's the title of that one again? I think I've seen it, but
I need to find it. I'll try to find it here in a bit. The other one that on the flip side is Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg. She did a talk recently on Tech Women, and her title was "Why We Have Too Few Women Leaders." That was the name of her talk, and she used no slides. There's no slides whatsoever.
Bill, you're going in and out. Can you?
Should I repeat that?
Yeah.
yes.
Why We Have Too Few Women Leaders. That was the name of the talk. It's by the COO of Facebook. But she had no slides in her talk. I think those are two extremes, and it would be great to just review those and just see their style and how they were able to bring out their point. All right, so Ushi, yeah, what about you? What kind of visuals you'd like to?
He's off.
Yeah.
Can't hear him.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a plan yet for that. I feel like I want to take a lot of my 9 minutes up with people experiencing the poetry. And I think, Nabil, you've been there before where I've actually asked people in the audience to tell me how they're feeling, and then I just pick a poem for them. So, but I do think that visuals are important, so I have to think about that. Because I do feel that one of the things that the stand I'm taking is for people to have a mass exodus into nature. I think it's really important, and a lot of times the poems come from moments in nature, and although I'm not a professional photographer, I do capture those moments. So I think that there'll be some sort of correlation to like finding that little detail in nature, the poem, and then what the audience is feeling at the time. But that's the only thought I've given to it so far.
Great. Great. I think, go ahead.
Nabil, I have a question about this. It kind of relates back to what David was saying and just now what Ushi was commenting on. One of my favorite parts of giving any lecture, no matter how long it is the dialogue with the audience afterwards. And yeah. I don't think we're going to have that, will we?
No, actually, that's a great point you bring up. We will have a dialogue, right? And the dialogue, it's really your talk, your 9-minute talk, is just a catalyst of those dialogues. Those dialogues are even more important than the talk's there to really get people excited about your talk, but then it's what happens after that. So the way it's designed, the way the conference is designed, we have breaks in the middle, right? And the whole goal with those breaks is for the audience to interact with the speakers. So I would highly encourage everyone. The magic happens there. The magic does not happen on stage. Stage is just a way to get to the magic, right? But the magic happens when you interact, because you want people behind your idea, right? You want people to really feel about it, and it happens when you interact. I've seen situations, and I would highly discourage it for our team here. I've seen situations when the speakers come on stage, give their talk, right? And you've put in so much time in giving your talk, right? Thinking about it, you give your talk, and then after that, when the next break comes, the speakers leave and they go hang out in a bar and go drink, right? But because you're so excited that you gave your talk, but you're missing the point. The point is the magic that happens after that, right? So I highly encourage. I know you'll be tired. It'll be this whole relief if you're done with your talk, and you're like, I just want a beer right now. But it really goes to what happens after that. So I highly encourage the interaction. Masha, thank you for bringing that. That's critical.
Good. I didn't know there would be that opportunity, so that's wonderful.
Definitely. So talking about the interaction points, there's one after. There's also one before. And what we call those are adventures, right? So I don't know if you've heard of it, but we have something called TEDx Adventures, where it's really bringing a subset of people into your life, into what you want to do, and have an exclusive experience for them. So whatever it is, right? Obviously the setting is going to be in jail, but if you can think of an adventure, that if we were to advertise this to our group and say only 10 or 15 of you can sign up for this adventure, where you'll have spending one-on-one time with the speaker, and it's a way to bring your thoughts outside the stage, right? So if there's something in jail that, like let's say her whole idea of combining poetry with nature, then we can organize something where we do like a few hours that Ushi takes a group of people on a hike, right? And she brings that out and talks about it. So there's that opportunity for every speaker. So think about that. Ocean, if you want like a subset of youths in Vail to just talk about your idea, or whatever it is, right? If it's a setting, if it's a school, if it's going to the school, whatever it is, think about that. But there's really options.
Fading out.
You're fading out.
Is that better?
Yeah, now you're back.
About that. But did you guys get at least the gist of what I was saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about it. No one has to commit to that right now, but think about that. We'll really wanna have adventures before, and then have the interactions after as well.
I want to do an adventure where people get together and create their friendship house using the model that I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great way. Because then what you can do is when you bring those people in, right, before the talk and they interact with your model, right, get the point of what this model is when you give your talk, and then later on when you're interacting, they will interact with other people too and really spread your message as well. So think about it as catalysts. These are really your catalysts of driving your ideas out there. Great point.
One of the things that I'm noticing is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm noticing is, Basha, back to what you said about that thread. So there is a thread amongst us, right? It's nature, creativity, connection. We all seem to be kind of in our own worlds bringing those things together. So it might be cool also for us to do connected adventures where, like, if it's a piece of your art, Basha, and then I bring in the poetry, and then or maybe we do it for the youth, Ocean. Like maybe there's just ways that we can cross pollinate, and if they're building their houses, then what comes after that, and so I think that there's some pretty cool things that we possibly could do together. And I am also, I mean, I know this is Vail centered, but in terms of growing an audience, if anyone wants to do them here in the Bay Area and then link it back to that talk, I think we could get a really rowdy crowd together out here too. Specifically knowing that, Bay Area and the bubble that I live in, who's in Orinda? Somebody knows that, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm in Orinda, Susan.
Yeah. So, it's a good place to get people behind your idea.
Are you inviting us to the Bay Area then?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that there's that thread is happening kind of very organically, for lack of a better word. And the other thing I want to offer for anyone who's having I'm having the issue of the golden thread in my own talk. But I know something that my poetry does for people is it helps them find a golden thread. So I'm willing to listen to you and write a poem, and that will help. Don't ask me how that happens, I don't know, but I know it works. So, and last time, that river poem came out when you talked
I
about
was just going to say thank you for that. It was so visceral and so perfect for that moment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always in awe about how that happens, but I'm like, when's my poetry going to give me my golden thread? But until it does, if you want that help, it's another place I think I can really contribute to the group with.
Awesome.
Sure.
That's a great idea. I mean, even if you guys feel that you want to combine with someone else in an adventure, we definitely will accommodate that. So think about that. We'll revisit that in one of the sessions down the road to talk about the adventures. You don't have to wait for a session. If you want to reach out to me, Kat, and talk about an adventure, we definitely love to just hear your ideas. Going back to JR's talk, it's called 1 Year of Turning the World Inside Out. And I put the link on the Hangout as well, so you guys can get to that. So just a few more things that we want to talk about here. So rule of thumb, we have 9 minutes. I would say plan content for around 6.5, around 7 minutes. So plan content around 7 minutes. Usually that's what happens is you take a little bit longer with your ideas, right? You'll think about a story, and you want to finish that story. You don't want to just end, at 9 minutes and you haven't finished your story. So think about 7 minutes as kind of as you start off with the thought. Eventually, by the time you get to delivering your talk, you'll fill up the 2x.
Last year, I was the timer for our talks, and only one person stayed within their limit, and the average was people went just under a minute over.
Yeah.
And one person went like 3 minutes over, which was really stressing us out.
Yeah. And that's a very important important thing, because what I would say is, as you practice, make sure you practice with the clock counting up and not down, right? Because then you know how much over you're going, right? If you count down, when it gets to 0, it's done. You don't know how much over you're going. Let it go up, and then you know, oh, I have 2 minutes worth of content that I need to cut through. And I don't know why my office here, the lights always go out. It's timed, and uh, so that's one. Once you get to a perfection, or okay, I'm getting to 9 minutes, then flip the timer and do a countdown. But don't do the countdown first. Do the count up first. So that's another trick. And the other thing I would say is have 2 natural ending points, right? Have 2. Don't have 1. Have one at 9 minutes, right? That's how you're going to end your talk. Have another one for whatever reason, right? You don't get to the end. Then how would you end your talk? Because you still want to end with a bang, right? End with something that's powerful, so that people walk away with that. So have the second one just in case you don't get to the 9 minute. I'm sure all of us will, but just in case, you know, we have technical issues, the slides don't change, whatever could happen, right? You have a story that you remember that you have to tell the audience, right? Then you have a second way to exit your talk. So I think have that in mind as well. Any thoughts on those points?
Sounds good.
Does it make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Very good idea.
All right. I mean, there's another one. Once we go through the presentations, it talks about trimming your slides. But I'd say, you know, don't use slides. Don't use your slides heavily. What I mean by that is so that the focus goes away from you and your talk and goes just to your slides. So don't try to keep that balance so that people are just not focusing on the slide and forgetting about you. Because I think at the end of the day, the slides is just one way of getting your points across. That's all I have from a content standpoint. Anybody have anything else from anything with questions, any suggestions, any comments?
Has everybody done my survey? Have you
No.
seen my survey?
Where is it?
If you go to my blog, which is Jill Squires' blog, with a Y, make sure you spell my name, Squires. In every one of my recent posts, I have a link to my friendship survey, and that's the survey I'm going to be basing my talk on. And people are really enjoying doing the survey because it makes you think a lot about how you define friendship and what the barriers to friendship are. And then there's a free form place at the end where you get to write how you've defined friendship. And I've had like 60 people already write from one sentence to a whole page. So it's a powerful topic. And I'd love to have everybody, to have all of you have filled out the survey.
Can you give it to your friends as well?
Yes, please share it. I want to get to 1,000 people, and I have about 400 so far. So, and I have friends who are going to continue disseminating it for me over the next few months. So anyone you want to share it with, people are having a lot of fun with it. So thank you.
Right.
So
Send it to my real friends and not the ones that are my frenemies, though.
Well, we're learning about frenemies also. So we want all sides, not just the good side. We need the light and the dark.
So Nabil, I have a question. Speaking of forms,
Yes.
that form that you want us to fill out,
Yep.
I haven't done that yet because I feel like my ideas are kind of evolving. Once we fill out that form, are we set to that, or can it evolve further?
It can evolve further, right? That's why we're going through these speaker sessions. We're really trying
Okay.
to tone down that idea. It doesn't have to. That could be your initial start.
Okay, that's great.
The most important part of that form for us is to really get your contact information, so we know how to contact you. If there's a cell phone number, you know, that kind of stuff. So we have a contact, an email contact, that kind of stuff. So I know I think a few of you have filled, a few of you haven't yet. I would just encourage you to go ahead and fill it. And then you don't need to fill everything in, just the contact information if you don't have your talk yet. And then when you get your talk, just go back and just submit another update. So that's okay.
Can you talk a little bit about titles and what are the ways that the title of your talk draws people in?
So I think titles have been used in so many different ways. The good thing about this is we have only one track, right? It's not like a big conference where you have different titles and people pick talks on titles, right? Everybody's going to be in the room irrespective of what kind of title you have, right? So that's the good thing. But you also want to draw curiosity in the title a little, right? So I think that there's that element of like I really am looking forward to this talk. Like I don't know what this person is going to talk about. Like the title is intriguing. But I think about that. Titles are very important. I think it's critical to think about. The content is good, but I think the title draws people in because they're already curious before even they've got there. And we're going to share the titles. We're going to share the bios. So think about your title. Make it curious.
It'll also draw people in online.
Exactly.
If you have a title.
Exactly. It will draw people online. It will draw people to your adventures when we have our adventures announced. It will draw people because someone wants to come and spend time with you, and yeah, online as well, definitely. So I don't want to really define rules for titles, Basha, because I don't think there should be rules, right?
No, I don't either. I just wondered.
Yeah.
About it.
Make it fun. You know, use that however you'd like to.
Okay.
Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. This was, again, a pleasure. It's so much fun to have these sessions and getting to know everyone. And I think it's also, everybody else is getting to know each other. So that's great. You don't have to wait for the sessions. Again, when I send out the emails, everybody's email is on that link. So if you want to reach out to anybody else, please feel free to do that. Our next session is going to be June 11th. So that's going to be the next session, June 11th. All right. Well, thank you, and we'll see you in a month's time.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.